The village was small, it was quiet, it was covered in snow. The houses were cozy, smoke came from their chimneys. In the village square stood Frosty. He was a snowman, he was made of snow, he had a carrot nose, he had coal for eyes. Frosty was no ordinary snowman, he was a magical snowman. Children loved him, they made him, they gave him life, they put a magical hat on his head. The hat made him alive. Frosty could move, Frosty could talk, Frosty could laugh. Frosty loved the children, he played with them, he told them stories, he made them laugh. But Frosty had a secret, he had a dream. He dreamt of catching a fish. Frosty had never seen a fish. He'd only heard stories. The children told him about fish. They swam in the river. They were slippery and shiny. Frosty wanted to catch a fish. He wanted to feel it in his snowy hands. Frosty asked the children about fishing. "How do you catch a fish?" he asked. The children laughed. "You need a fishing rod, Frosty," they said, "and a worm." Frosty didn't know what a fishing rod was. He didn't know what a worm was, but he wanted to try. He wanted to catch a fish. The children helped Frosty. They brought him a fishing rod. They gave him a worm. "Thank you," said Frosty. "I will catch a fish. I will bring it back to show you." The children laughed. They didn't think Frosty could catch a fish. Frosty was a snowman. Snowmen don't catch fish. But Frosty was determined. He was a magical snowman. He could do anything he set his mind to. He took the fishing rod. He took the worm. He set off to the river. The river was outside the village. It was a long way for a snowman to go. The sun was shining, the snow was melting, Frosty was melting too, but he didn't give up. He had to catch a fish. "I can do it," he said to himself. "I am a magical snowman." He walked and walked. He used his magic. He froze the snow around him. This made him stronger. Finally, he reached the river. The river was frozen. The water was covered in ice. "How will I catch a fish now?" thought Frosty. He looked around. He saw a hole in the ice. "Maybe there's a fish in there," he thought. He took his fishing rod. He put the worm on the hook. He dipped the hook into the water. Section 4, a moment of joy. He waited and waited. Nothing happened. Frosty was getting cold. He was starting to melt. "Maybe I should go back," he thought. Just then he felt a tug on his line. "I got something!" he shouted. He pulled on the rod. It was heavy. He pulled and pulled. Finally, he pulled out a fish. The fish was big and silver. It was the most beautiful thing Frosty had ever seen. "I did it," he shouted. "I caught a fish." He was so happy. He laughed and laughed. Section 5. Accepted in the village. He ran back to the village. He couldn't wait to show the children. He ran through the snow. He slipped and slid, but he didn't drop the fish. He finally reached the village square. The children were playing. "Look what I caught," shouted Frosty. He held up the fish. The children were amazed. "You caught a fish," they shouted. "You really did it." The villagers came to see. They were amazed too. They had never seen a snowman catch a fish before. They cheered for Frosty. They patted him on the back. Section 6, a snowman's belonging. From that day on, Frosty was a hero in the village. The children loved him even more. They took him fishing with them. They taught him how to fish properly. Frosty loved fishing. He loved being with the children. Even though he was a snowman, he felt like he belonged in the village. He had found his place. He had found his joy. And it all started with a fishy dream.